Greetings, welcome, and welcome back to my channel. Today I want to talk about another newspaper headliner. I'm not in the habit of buying newspapers, but I'm out and about in the day and sometimes it will catch my attention. This is yesterday's paper of the New York Post. Well, it's coming across backwards. And it says, legislator wants to make adultery legal in New York. Who knew it wasn't? Lawfully vetted. So they want to change the law. At this point in New York, it is unlawful to commit adultery. As a matter of fact, I know someone who based their divorce on the fact that their spouse was cheating on them, and that was grounds for divorce. And they used it in the court, and they were granted divorce for that. Now, they want to change it to it's legal. I'm going to read the article. Let me open it full page. Let's see. This guy right here. This guy. LI, which is Long Island, which is a part of New York. It's a little further up. Quest to repeal obscure 1907 edict outlawing adultery. New York's antiquated tryst slap. New York is finally settling its affairs. A more than century-old lawmaker. Makes it a crime to cheat on your spouse in the Empire State. We call it Empire State because in New York, because the Empire State Building. But the antiquated rule could soon be put to bed. Under the state law enacted in 1907, adultery is a Class B misdemeanor, punishable by up to 90 days in jail or a $500 fine. Fewer than a dozen people have been charged under the state over the last 5 decades. But Long Island Assemblyman Charles Levine, Long Island Assemblyman, believes it is time to do repeal of the little-known statute, noting it has primarily been used to target women. The fact of the matter is, in New York and elsewhere, it is primarily women who are prosecuted for this offense. The Glen Cove is a part of New York, Democrat told the Post on Wednesday, because most of those charged are women, quote, it stigmatizes and victimizes women. The 76-year-old married man noted that his wife was also on board with the repeal because she is, quote, a huge advocate for women's rights and human rights, end quote. The law appears to have been written in an attempt to curb the state's divorce rate at a time when claiming adultery was the only path to legally split up, according to Politico. Levine noted it was impossible to determine how many prosecutions happened in the early days. But at least 5 people have been convicted of it since the 1907s, his office said, most recently in 2020. That year, a married Batavia woman, Suzanne Corona, was charged with adultery after being arrested for having sex with another man on a playground. She later pleaded guilty to public lewdness after prosecutors dropped the more serious adultery charge, according to CBS News. Letter to the law. Section 255.17 of the Penal Code says that a suspect is guilty if, quote, he engages in sexual intercourse with another person at a time when he has a living spouse or the other person has a living spouse that they're engaging with, end quote. The language might not be around much longer, though. Levine's bill was overwhelmingly approved in the Assembly and could be introduced in the state Senate by sponsor Liz Krueger, Krueger, Liz Krueger, by the end of the legislative session. She says, quote, "The bill is a good bill, and I am pleased that it is passed." I apologize. Levine said that. "The bill is a good bill, and I'm pleased that it is passed," end quote, Levine said. Let's talk Bible. God hates adultery. Plain and simple. He may say it's good. God never said adultery was good. Never, ever, 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 ever. It is an abomination to God. God does not like, he hates adultery. What is adultery? You can think of a sexual activity with another person. You don't even have to know that person. You don't even have to be married. In God's mind, in your heart, you have committed adultery. That's adultery. In God's mind. This is God's world, in case that has not been established. By some people, they don't want to respect that, but it is. And come judgment day, for each person, they're going to be judged by their thoughts. Now, it isn't just a matter of, because the word says, "Thou shalt not covet thy husband's wife, thy neighbor's wife." Thou shalt not covet, as in you shouldn't desire someone else's partner. Not just their wife, but husband to wife, wife to husband, wife to whatever. That marriage is not even considered legal, whether it's same sex. So I'm not even going to address that. Unfortunately, I have to also stipulate husband to child. Josh Duggar of the Duggars, 12 and counting, whatever that TV show was, where the supposedly Christian family had over, how many children did they have? I can't even think of it. They had multiple, I think it was close to, more than 12? Was it close to 20? You all correct me and tell me how many children they had. Josh Duggar was one of their first children. I think he was one of the oldest boys, if not the oldest boy. He married, had 6 or 7 children with his wife, had a used car sale dealership, and was caught with pornography because it pings the FBI, who were seeking those who were into child porn. If they download pictures of children, and I mean children, I mean babies. He is currently serving a jail time because he was convicted of hundreds of pictures of pornography, child pornography, not adult. He wasn't looking at other women. He was looking at children. And it also stated that they were doing unmentionable harm to those children, and he repeatedly downloaded, and he put what he thought was a sensor on his phone so that he wouldn't get caught. He got caught. He's in jail for that. So unfortunately now it's not just man lusting after someone else's wife lusting after someone else's husband. It's man lusting after children as well, babies, youth. If you think that God's judgment is not coming to the great America, this is America, I can do what I want, wait and see. The judgment has already started, and I'll tell you the signs of it already having started. You can call it inflation. You can call it a high crime rate. You can call it a high unemployment rate, a high divorce rate. But when God, whose hand was on a country and blessed this country with such abundance and freedom, removes his hand, because the protection of our borders was built by him. We have migrants coming to almost every single state in droves. And I don't know about in other states, but I know in New York, they're wreaking havoc because they're starting fights. They are starting violent altercations with the citizens of this country, of this state. Violent. And have to be jailed and deported. Our borders are not our borders anymore. I'm not against other cultures being in this country. I'm not against that. But the way that which it is done, there's no protection to those who are here. People who live here are fearing even so much as just to get on the subway to go to work because they're being attacked in the subways. Subway crime is up to an all-time high in New York City. So if you think that inflation is just the government not controlling things, things are going to get scarcer. There's 2 links I'm going to put in the description of 2 prophetic words that I've recently, videos that I've watched, and one of which the Lord has spoken and said that the scarcity that is coming to the United States will be greater than the Great Depression. The Great Depression was 11 years, 1929, 11 years. Men were jumping out of windows. What caused it was that the stock market. So when a company, a financial company says, I have $30 million on paper, but then when they're exchanging it, stock exchange, and they're requesting that money for whatever reason all at the same time, and they cannot fulfill that, they collapse. They have a right to their money. You said you had it. So when this repeats, there's no money. People can't get money out of their own bank. It all falls down to they can't pay their bills. I don't care if you're a millionaire or you're making $1,000 a week, whatever it is that you're making. If you cannot pay your bills, regardless of who you are. I was walking down the street yesterday and a man was on his cell phone and he said he really messed up, different language, but he said he really messed up and he lost $350,000. Just a person walking past me having his conversation on the phone. He lost, and he's laughing about it. He's like, oh, I lost $350,000. And he may think that's a fluke. Okay, I'll make it back. Repeat. The Great Depression was so devastating that not only were men jumping out of windows who were bankers, whomever, but the regular jobs, there were not regular jobs. There was the whole cycle of work, earn a living, support your family, was broken. Lines of men just for a potato soup. Lines and lines and lines. Think of COVID. But this is going to be worse. So if it's greater, if the prophecy says that it's going to be greater than the Great Depression, which was 11 years, and you have people committing suicide, standing online for potato soup. They're not standing online like COVID where they got vegetables, dairy, a little meat, what have you. They were standing online for just a cup of soup and a piece of bread. God's judgment is on this country. This is just the beginning. They want to change the laws which are against God. Against God. So basically they're saying, God, we don't want we don't want that. We want to do what we want to do. That's Sodom and Gomorrah mindset. That's Sodom and Gomorrah lifestyle. This is become Sodom and Gomorrah. The woman was caught having intercourse in a public place. In a public place. In a park. What are you doing? So this is what people do now? You've been doing it for years. I'm not asking as if I don't know, but I'm saying, but this is where we have come as a country. God's judgment is coming to this country. My suggestion to you is that you prepare yourself. Because the Great Depression was what it was, I suggest instead of you buying another pair of shoes that are going to go in your closet, you're only going to wear it a week, a couple of days out of the week, and then it's going to go back in that closet along with your other 20 pairs of shoes. You buy yourself 20 pairs of soup, beans, 20 cans of soup, 20 cans of beans, some rice. Start stocking up your freezer. I suggest, if you don't have a freezer, I suggest you, where's the money going to come from? I suggest you ask God for it. Because you're not going to have enough. It's going to be a point where it's not going to be there, regardless of how much money you have. It's not going to be there because that's God's judgment. He will give. He will allow you to be a good manager of what he gives and blesses you with. If you show him you don't want it and you don't want him and you mismanage what he gives, he will take it back. God gives, the Lord takes back. That's it. The Lord giveth and the Lord taketh away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. Get your heart right. Get your money right. Get your household right. Because only those who are seeking the Lord in these last days, and these are they, will be spared, will have God's mercy and covering. You need God's covering over your household. I don't care if it's one person or 10 people in your household. You need that. Things are going to change, and they're going to change quick. This is just tip of the iceberg. Because people have thrown God out of this country. They don't want him. God says, okay, I blessed you. You don't want me? Okay, I'm going to start taking away now. It's just going to start taking things away from you. Prepare your household. Get yourself right with God. Excuse me. And ask God to make provisions for you in the times coming. You're welcome.